And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Kelly, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you.
What can we do for you?
My husband passed away about a year and a half ago, and he had a 2007 Sierra, a Chevy Sierra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drive it very much.
Right.
How often should I change the oil and stuff like that?
Well, how much would you drive it 5,000 miles a year, or would you drive it 10,000 miles a year?
I wouldn't drive it 2,000.
Oh, really? You could change the oil in that vehicle, Kelly. Well, first, that depends. The answer is it depends. You can change it one time a year. The challenge and the concern that I have is that over the years, several years, if you went 3 years with just 3 oil changes, see what happens is when you drive this vehicle, if you go from your house and you're not 15 minutes or more in the car running, then the car engine never gets up to operating temperature. And furthermore, if you let's say that you use the car 10 times a month, and each of those 10 times the running duration was less than 30 minutes. And I'm talking about as the engine is actually running. When the engine runs under 30 minutes, the engine doesn't have time to boil out the condensation that accumulates in the oil. And you've noticed, when you fire a car up, you see water coming out of the tailpipe of cars. That is typical for all internal combustion engines, and it's strictly because of the condensation. So what happens, that condensation is on the walls of the engine inside, so you get water in with the oil. And then when the water sits over a period of time, it mixes with acids that are just part of the combustion process. So not to get too technical, but it really would behoove you to change the oil, let's say at the beginning of fall, at the beginning of spring. So change it twice a year to be safe and sound. And I think that would be best, and that's going to be my answer for you. If you drove the car 5,000 miles a year, then I'd say change it annually. But I think you should change it every 6 months, because that, in addition to, and here's a very important part of this question, in addition to getting the old oil and water out of the engine, and there is water in there, and getting new oil in, someone will have an opportunity to check for other leakages. And because when you don't use the car often, which you don't, your power steering seals start to dry out, the hoses will start to dry rot. So you'll have other items that when people find, and I'll tell you, Kelly, this is what happens when people just use their cars, and they come into a shop with 50 or 60 or 70,000 miles, and they come in for a simple oil change, and they get a good shop that looks the car over thoroughly, and then they get what they think is, they call a grocery list. Well, all I wanted was an oil change, and now I've got to spend $1,000 on this car. Had that vehicle and that vehicle owner been proactive and have that car in the shop 3 times a year is really the secret number, the magic number, but at least twice a year to have that car inspected by another pair of eyes, a set of trained eyes, as I have and Terry has, then there are things that you brush your teeth every day, but every 6 months you need to go to a professional and have them professionally cleaned. Does that make sense?
It does. I think I will start driving it more often.
I think you should. Is there a reason that you don't? Is there a reason other than your husband passing?
I have a car.
Oh, you have your own car?
Yeah, that I use.
Well, do you want to keep this car? Maybe it's from just the value and.
I live in the country, and I kind of need it for different things, but.
Well, then I would say, what do you think, Terry?
I think that she should keep that vehicle, and I think that she should keep driving it. I think she should start driving it to keep, this is what you said, keep the seals lubricated, and that way she won't have any major problems later on down the road when she, if she didn't drive it.
Right. So yes, best to use the car. In fact, a lot of people call me and they say, well, I'm considering buying a used car, and should I buy a young car with low mileage or an older car with high mileage? The answer to that is actually you should look for a young car with high mileage.
Okay.
Because the high mileage, if you got a 2-year-old car, it's got 50,000 miles. That's way over the 30, which is average. But see, the value of that car, it hasn't been damaged because it's been on the road a lot of miles to get that many
Right.
miles, and so you can save a lot of money by buying a higher mileage, younger car, and the mileage doesn't hurt the car, Kelly. Age is what destroys the seals in an automobile, and I've got some old cars, and I can tell you that from experience. Does that help you?
You've been a lot of help.
Well,
Yes.
I thank you so much for your call, and feel free to call us anytime. We're here every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern time, and thank you so much for your trust and your confidence in us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.